Hello and welcome to The Insider, a show designed to clue you into the biggest news, events and announcements inside the video games industry, discussing with you some things you may know, some things you may not, and the glue that holds it all together is a little bit of my own opinion. My name is Paul James, thank you very much for watching, and let's kick off the first episode of 2018. So welcome back to the first Insider episode of 2018. In these first few episodes of this year, I'm going to be previewing for you each of the years of the big three console manufacturers, as well as a bigger piece about the third parties. In this week's episode, I'm going to kick things off with Nintendo. Nintendo have already been quite active early this year, and so I want to talk about that before they inevitably start wheeling out more news and throw this whole thing into a spin. I want to talk about each of these episodes through a few different lenses. Where are they? Where are they going? What do they need to do to get there? What games and announcements we should expect over the course of the year? And then a more subjective thing at the end of what I want. So without further ado, let's kick the episode off.
We go off the rails, but you know it's time to raise our sails. It's freedom life you never knew. 20 bags or a pass, say the word, I'll be there in a flash. You could say my hat is off to you. It's time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump up and your cares will soar away. So let's do the Odyssey. Odyssey, yes, Odyssey, yes, Odyssey, yes, Odyssey, yes, Odyssey, Odyssey.
So first off, we'll look at where Nintendo are. Now, they released the Nintendo Switch in March of 2017, and since then, up to early December, so now, add another month worth of sales, they'd already sold 10 million consoles. That is an incredible number, and it's a massive boom for Nintendo, especially considering the failure of the Nintendo Wii U, a console who's possibly close to being overpassed already in sales by the Switch. Supporting the incredible console, they've released a series of really high-profile and well-received games, including The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey. Ubisoft supported with Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. There was Fire Emblem Warriors, ARMS, and a whole bunch more. Splatoon 2, the list could go on. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. There's been so many high-profile games that have come out in 2017 that it's hard to know how Nintendo's going to be able to back up such an incredible year in 2018, but that's what we're going to discuss next. So in terms of where Nintendo is headed, they are looking to replicate and perhaps even possibly extend the success of the Switch into 2018, enhancing those numbers even further. And we've got to look at how on earth it is they plan on doing that. Let's look at that next. Let's look at how Nintendo are going to get there. Now, for me, it is crazy that Nintendo is expecting to either equal or surpass the sales that they achieved in 2017. The reason for that being that software tends to do a great job of driving hardware sales. And in 2017, Nintendo fired out the next entries in their two biggest IP, Mario in the form of Super Mario Odyssey and Zelda in the form of Breath of the Wild. I don't know how Nintendo could possibly achieve those same numbers purely because they won't have a Mario or a Zelda the core Mario or the core Zelda to lean upon to drive those numbers further. They've got some great games coming out. There's going to be Yoshi for the Switch. Kirby Star Allies is coming in March. They've announced Nintendo Labo, which is kind of a peripheral-based thing. It's a weird one. It's targeted at kids. They essentially have the opportunity to build their own peripherals, which then work with a game that'll be bundled with it. It's all kind of cardboard, hand-constructed stuff. It's quite interesting. Certainly going for that younger demographic, and if they can get it right, should be really successful and could in fact drive those numbers back up to those 2017 levels. There's Fire Emblem, there's No More Heroes, and there's a bunch of other games that are going to be targeting a whole bunch of different audiences, and that's great, but I just don't know how they're going to be able to replicate Super Mario Odyssey or a Breath of the Wild in terms of getting those numbers where they need to be. I'll be really interested to see what they plan on doing though to get there, and that's what we'll talk about next. So I've already spoken about some of the games that are coming this year. There are some incredible titles. Just check that last segment to see exactly what I'm talking about. But in terms of announcements, this is where things get a little interesting. So it was at E3 2017 when Nintendo revealed that there is a new core Pokemon game coming to the Switch. That in itself was huge because Pokemon games in the past have been locked to their handheld platform. The DS, the 3DS, the Game Boy, whatever it happened to be. The Switch, being a hybrid device, is a handheld as well, and that's drawn the Pokemon company out to develop a core Pokemon game for the Switch instead. Does this mean that Nintendo's not supporting the 3DS anymore and every resource is being put towards the Switch? I hope so, because that bodes well going forward. But a core Pokemon game, it's been announced, and if, and it's a big if, I don't believe it's coming out in 2018, but if it manages to, that'll take the console sales right up to where Nintendo needs it to be. But how they can replicate this year in, year out, that remains to be seen. Metroid Prime 4 was announced. That was a huge reaction back at E3. And look, don't expect it in 2018, but it bodes well for 2019. Some more games that need to be discussed are some big IP. Super Smash Brothers. Hasn't been announced yet, hasn't been teased yet, but fans are expecting one at some point through the console generation. Will it come out in this year? Probably not. Will it be announced this year? We can hope. Mario Kart is another interesting one. Mario Kart 8 came out for the Wii U and sold quite well given the platform that it was on. But when it came to the Switch, a console that is lighting up the charts at the moment, it exploded even further. But that does mean that we've technically had a Mario Kart this generation, and we typically don't get more than one per console cycle. But given it's a remaster of a Wii U game, maybe Nintendo doesn't want to count it as a Switch Mario Kart, and maybe a Mario Kart 9 is on the way. That remains to be seen. Possibly this year we'll hear more about that. We've also seen remasters inbound for Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, as well as Bayonetta 1 and 2. We know Bayonetta 3 is on the way. Are we getting a new Donkey Kong? Who knows? There's the Retro Studios developed game that's also supposed to be releasing / being announced sometime soon. Let's wait and see what happens when it comes to that. There's lots of upcoming titles and announcements for the Switch, and Nintendo just needs to pull the trigger now and show us some of those. finally we're going to look at what I want. And this is where I get to kind of throw everything up in the air and just see where it lands. I've spoken about a few games that have been announced and are supposedly on the way. Pokemon I would love to see come out this year, but I don't expect it. There's 2 games that are yet to be announced that I would love to see. Pikmin 4, which would be the sequel to Pikmin 3, the game that I've considered to be the best game on the Wii U, one of Nintendo's best in recent memory, and a sequel to Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Though both of those were Wii U games, neither of them have received Switch upgrades, I guess, but cherry ripe for a sequel, and I would love to see more. Nintendo, can you please make it happen? So that ends the first episode of The Insider for 2018. Please make sure to like, share and subscribe to the channel. We need you more than ever at the moment, given some recent kerfuffle involving YouTube. So you can catch up with weekly episodes of Patched, the Video Games Club, The Insider, there's Player 2 Plays, there's trailers, there's a whole bunch more that can only be found at our YouTube channel. So please like, share and subscribe so you can catch up with each of those. If you like our written content, or have never considered going and take a look at it, please go to the website, player2.net.au, where you can catch up with reviews, previews, there's features, there's opinion pieces, the Player 2 draft is up, so please make sure to check out and see what we all selected there. There's a whole bunch of awesome things that can only be found at our website. We've got some of the best talent in Australia contributing, so please make sure to check it out. We really value your support, your feedback, and that'll help inform more of what we do going forward. For rolling updates, please hit me up at PaulJamesP2 on Twitter, and the website at Player2AU on Twitter. We'd love to hear what you've got to say. It's your best way of kind of exchanging comments and engaging in a dialogue with us. We'd love to hear from you. And until next week, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.